and welcome to the Think MHK Podcast, presented by the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. On this podcast, you will hear from a variety of people from across the region, including community leaders and business owners. You will hear their Manhattan stories and hopefully get to know your friends and business associates a little better. Thanks for tuning in today. With us today is another one of our 20 under 40 winners for 2025. Eric Holderness, who's Vice President of Development at the Kansas State University Foundation. Eric,
right.
Welcome to the Think MHK Podcast.
Yeah, man. Glad to be here.
And congratulations on being named 20 under 40.
Yeah.
So we always ask people right off, where are you from, how you ended up in Manhattan, and what do you do at the Kansas State Foundation?
So I'm originally from Montezuma, Kansas. Graduated with a whole sum of 17 people in my graduating.
Wow. So I don't know very many people who graduated less than me. I had 21 in my graduating class.
I outsmalled you. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a great place to call home. So grew up on a farm where actually my parents still live. There was really no choice where you went to college. It was, you go to South Gray High School and then you go to Kansas State. Or at least that was no choice for me. So that's how I ended up in Manhattan, frankly, in 2005. Fall of 2005, I enrolled and took up arms here in Manhattan, Kansas. And, frankly, I don't know if I had a plan. I think about that, Eric of 05 vintage, and I don't know where I thought I might end up, but, as I spent time in undergraduate and graduate school here at Kansas State, it really codified that Manhattan was more than just where I thought I might go to college. It really became a place where I thought I might set up shop for a while. Outside of that, I've been associated with the university for a long time in a fundraising role from the very get-go. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Megan, and have just a fresh 1-year-old, Zoe. And so each of us have started to call Manhattan home for sure. And so I think that's me. Work is a lot of me. K-State is most of me, but frankly, my family and how they've embraced, even from Montezuma, Manhattan as their second home has been pretty special.
And where's Megan from?
Megan's from Baileyville, actually,
Okay.
so just north of here, about an hour. So yeah, she too is actually we met in college, and it took me 10 years to get the courage to ask her on our first date. But
That's a long time, Eric.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I know.
For somebody that's a salesperson in general, I think you should probably move a little.
Someone who's good at asking. I buried the lead there, didn't I?
Yeah.
But no, I think that it was pretty special. Each of us chose as professionals to find this place, Manhattan, as where we wanted to each grow up, frankly, out of adolescence to adulthood. And so that's been pretty special too, is that each of us got to kind of stay here and continue to grow. So yeah.
So interesting. Talk a little bit about your decision to come to K-State, because you said there's no choice, right?
There was. But.
So somebody who graduated from high school in Western Oklahoma in a small town, it's generally accepted if you go to college, or if you're not going to one of the smaller regionals, you go to Oklahoma State.
Yep.
And it feels like a similar scenario in Kansas, in that if you go in Western Kansas, if you don't go to the smaller regional or community college, you go to Kansas State.
That's right.
Did you find that to be true, I guess, across the board? Because you're involved in this quite a bit in terms of enrollment. Are the demographic changes in Western Kansas, and how does that impact Kansas State? Because it feels like that could be one of our big challenges.
It is. You're totally right that Kansas State, largely through its extension agencies, I was a 4-H kid, and you're exposed through the extension agency. Your extension agent itself, Kurt Worth, actually, is the gentleman out of Cimarron, Kansas. He wore the K-State ball cap, and that was just, Kansas State was around all the time. And that's what made it hardly a choice, right? It was the only university that was serving us where we were, and thus, felt like the natural fit for my next step. But yeah, the changing demographics of Southwest Kansas, albeit still first-generation college students, I think still 40% of our enrollees are first-generation at Kansas State. And of course, the land-grant mission and frankly, the mission of Kansas State was to educate the sons and daughters of Kansas itself. But those folks are demographically looking different now. And, part of that difference is really core family values. They don't necessarily get too far from home. So
Right.
it's truthfully the place-bound nature of culturally how Western Kansas itself has shifted that has created some issues as far as how we get those folks to think about it as a place for them, as a place that they can go that is going to take care of their sons and daughters when they get here. You know, it's a big leap for those of us that might have stayed in one of the dormitories or residence halls as they're known now. I mean, I lived in Haymaker Hall. It was larger than my hometown. And so that's a big leap even for those of us that might have thought of college as a natural next step. I think to your point, those shifting demographics, the core family values and the place-bound nature of this becomes a tougher sell more and more to head our direction. But it's worth it. Once we get here, I think over 70% of those that visit Kansas State and Manhattan while considering college choose Kansas State. And so it's really about ensuring that they see this space as a place that's just an extension of their hometown, extension of that family environment that we demonstrate every day here. Yep.
That's interesting. We have similar success rate when we get businesses to visit Manhattan.
Oh, is that right?
It's like trying to get them here is hard, but once we get them here, Manhattan is greater than Google says it is.
Yeah,
and we always outperform, I think, expectations. But the other problem in Western Kansas, Western Nebraska, Western Oklahoma, it's just less people.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so when that's your major pool of students and you have fewer of them, even if you're getting a higher percentage, that could actually end up being a smaller number.
The absolute numbers down.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's your experience at the foundation been like?
Yeah. So, I mentioned earlier that I've only raised money in my professional career, and I've only done it for Kansas State. I actually started at Kansas State Athletics. So I started my work as a graduate assistant with K-State Athletics and the Ahern Fund. I made my transition to the foundation in 2013. And so I've been there for over 12 years now and in elevated roles ever since. But, the work is really about relationships. And you'll hear that very often. But I think what in my role now is it's pretty profound. The types of relationships I was able to establish with donors in a one-to-one basis in most of my career is translated really well to the relationships I now manage, which are those of the people that work at Kansas State University Foundation. And I'm proud of them every day. And it is a special group. And I think that, that's been the wholesale shift. I think we all kind of understand what fundraising is and what it isn't. But mostly it's, asking folks what it is you want to accomplish with your money that's meaningful to you at Kansas State. That's what we do over and over and over. And I think what's really fun is now switching that up a little bit and sitting across from the 73, I think, employees in the development team at the foundation and asking them, what do you want to accomplish with your career that's meaningful to you at Kansas State University Foundation? And so it's been really neat to kind of see how that experience in raising money knee to knee, eye to eye, like we are today, has actually translated into now executive leadership within the foundation. So it's been interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've not even talked about this, but I have a stepson who's at Kansas State who interned with you guys last fall and in the business development side. And he's just one of those kids that can sell. I mean, he can talk to anybody. He can be your best friend in 30 minutes.
Love it.
And I know he got his first phone call, and you guys put kids to work, right?
Yeah, we
selling. And his first phone call, he made a sale.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it takes a different personality. The rest of our kids probably wouldn't be able to pull something like that off. So
I love it. And so, I think he served as one of our student gift officers, and it's one of my favorite parts of the building is to go into the bullpen, as it were, but it's the call center downstairs, and it's about 15 to 18 at any one time that are, and we do, and we have the big dashboards up so they understand that, we're moving the needle. I actually walked in the other day and someone had just crested over $100,000 raised as a student, and that's extraordinary. And when you think about
crazy,
it's great. And what we love about it is we've started to actually recruit some of the National Strategic Sales Institute students in our business college to say, I can give you, I'll put you to work. I'll give you some dollars and cents types of goals, and you'll be able to talk about this in ways that no other student has talked about it. And it really transfers into our ALE, which is our applied learning experiences, which is a large priority of our institution right now. We hope by 2030, every student graduates with an applied learning experience. Could be travel abroad or study abroad. Could be could be an internship. Those are sort of the more well-known, but we have a lot of experiences to offer already right here in this community and even in our own building. And we think that student gift officer experiences.
And of course, the ALE ties back to the strategic plan that was launched last year by the university. So great. So let's talk a little bit about why you're on. Again, you were named one of our 20 under 40. So a couple of instances. One, you're notified that you were nominated, and then you make a decision to apply, and then you're notified when you won. Mm-hmm. So maybe walk through the experience of finding out when you were nominated and what made you decide to pursue that, and then when you found out you won, kind of what your reaction was to that.
Yeah, when nominated, I actually didn't know who had. I still actually don't.
We don't make that mandatory as part of that process.
So, actually, and so I appreciate that, whomever it was. So thank you if you're listening. And the reason I chose to pursue it is that if someone is going to take that time and thought enough of me, I'm going to take my time and fulfill my side of that. So that is mostly it. I like winning too, but mostly I appreciate the recognition. Would do it without this in particular, but it's neat to think that someone thought enough of me, and I've always been in the business of proving people right. So what I'd like to do is just fulfill my side of that duty. And then when you're told you win something like this, especially when you've kind of grown up. I did air quotes there. I know this is an audio medium here, but I did. I really did go from that 18-year-old kid and now a 38-year-old man who lives here and has chosen this place, and that's a lot of growing that you do. And it is really surreal to be recognized by your community, by your peers, and frankly, to see who those other folks were in our 20, this class of 20 this year was really pretty special. And to think of that, like I said, coming here in 2005, I would somehow find my way to being one of the top professionals recognized in this community is pretty neat. Humbling, of course, but also makes you feel like you could go back home to Montezuma and say, yeah, you can make it anywhere, and Manhattan especially. So.
And you've hit on this a little bit already, but maybe a little more in depth about, you and your wife could go anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. And so. you have transferable skills. Why do you stay in Manhattan?
Yeah.
What is it about Manhattan that makes it a great place to live and work?
Yeah. So the people's the easy answer, and it's probably the more common. So I'm going to try to spice it up a little bit. But
that's the Bill Snyder answer.
Yeah, it is the Bill Snyder answer. And so, we all get to steal that, right? Yeah. And he wasn't wrong, and a very smart man, obviously. But, I think it's that small city feel with the big town type of environment. I know that that's sort of a juxtaposition, but the resources of a large community, while you could still walk down the street and say hello to people that and some might think that can get a little bit a little claustrophobic, but I think the opposite. I think that actually creates the sense of community that you can ask anyone, walking into this studio today and seeing Dave and saying hi as if we've been old friends, and because we have, that's just pretty neat to be able to kind of walk down here downtown and say hello, and we could do it anywhere, and in fact we've had that conversation. We've made a list of cities or towns, or if we were to be recruited or to do anything of that nature, and it's a short list that would do anything more than this place. And in so much so that, we've chosen place over profession. It just so happens that where it is we work are some of the best places to work in our respective industries, frankly. So that, I think, is also indicative of this community itself. I think it actually grows up really good businesses that are worth working at. And so, for us, we've chosen place first. It just so happens that our professions have aligned really well with some really stellar places to work.
Yeah. So you obviously get to interact with a lot of young people, but as you talk to young professionals or people about to enter the workforce, what advice do you have for folks like that?
Yeah, never be afraid of the work, right? Every day is an interview, and that sounds like kind of pretty intense, but it's true. And every interaction is an opportunity to sell yourself and to build trust, build rapport with others, and don't take that for granted. And no one should be taken for granted, right. Whoever it might be. You don't know really who it is and what it is, especially in this community. Like I've already mentioned, it's pretty tight knit, and not everybody looks like, they're pretty humble folks. So not everybody looks like they're important, and that's okay. But everybody is. And as long as you live life in a way where you're treating everybody as if they're important, you're going to be fine. And so I would say never be afraid of the work. And just every day is an interview, and you never know when the next opportunity will present itself through those relationships you build.
Yeah. You talk about, it's a little story that sort of backs up what you say about everyone's important. I always tell a story. This one of the ways I got into this business was in the community where I was living. The gentleman that ran the organization had some challenges with the commission. It's called city council, and so had left. And so the position opened up. The city council was looking for somebody that they had some more trust in, and to kind of rebuild the trust between the funding partner and then the organization that actually ran the economic development. But one of the stories that they used, one of the city councilmen had worked at a local restaurant and was interested in starting his own restaurant. And somebody had mentioned that the organization had some funds available to help small businesses get started. And no one knew who he was, and he kind of had flown under the radar. He was a manager at Arby's, right? So unless you went into Arby's on a regular basis, you didn't know who he was. And he went into the office to talk to the director, and the director left him sitting out there for an hour in the waiting room, waiting on him to address him. And then all of a sudden, he ended up opening his own restaurant. 6 months later, ran for city council, and guess what his number one issue was? I want to change the way we do economic development in this community because of the experience he had. And so we talk a lot about that in our team, is like, don't assume you know who somebody is or who they're going to be, or, we need to treat everybody the same and treat everybody like they're important. I think that's probably one of the best pieces of advice you could give to a young professional. So I appreciate you saying that. Last question we have as part of the main segment of this, other than this podcast, which I'm sure you listen to on a regular basis, what other podcasts do you listen to, if any, or books?
I do. I'm actually probably well quoted with at work as, I'm listening to this podcast. But my two sort of favorites are, and really anything by Malcolm Gladwell, but Revisionist History is fantastic. Really challenges the way you might think about the world, and that flies with me. And sort of in that line, Rethinking by Adam Grant, another tipping points and that sort of thing. But he's an accomplished author, but Rethinking is really good. His the most recent one was about sleep. So it's about work. It's about a lot of things, but actually just sort of looking at like sleep and what we think we know about it as humans and how it actually. So anyway, if you're up for something eclectic, it's that for sure. But another one that was just given to me, and I haven't really gotten into this yet, but I can't decide whether to be offended or not, but someone's like, you should definitely listen to the one, this podcast called You're Not So Smart. And I don't know if I should be offended by that, but I think it does. It sounds interesting. And I think it just challenges the way you think. Anything that I can intake that sort of builds perspective and challenges me to consider my values and align them appropriately, I'm all in for. But those are a couple of my favorites.
So I would assume, based on your job, you spend a lot of time on the road.
I do.
Are you a podcast guy on the road?
Yeah. If I forget to download when I get on the plane at MHK, that's a bummer of a day. I have it fits and starts, right? So when I am at home, I'm rarely listening, but when I'm on the road, I catch up.
That's usually the way I am too. So okay, so that's the end of our main segment. We're gonna move into the infamous rapid fire section of this, and so we're gonna ask you 10 questions, learn a little bit more about Eric, and try to answer as briefly as possible. Now, sometimes we'll follow up just to get a little more clarity. Sometimes the answers are interesting, but as a general rule, just try to answer as quick as you can. So you ready?
Yep.
Number 1, do you have any hidden talents?
I taught myself how to play the drums in junior high.
Nice.
And so I could get on the
band.
Yeah. So I ended up in the high school band, and then we had sort of a jam band in college, and it's still a go-to party trick. So if I see a live band, I might sneak my way up there and press.
So your jam band, what was the name?
I don't think we were unnamed. We were unnamed
jam band. That's kind of a good name, right? Unnamed jam band. I kind of like that.
Well,
all right.
I'm going to go take care of that.
If you could only watch one movie or television show for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Yeah, my wife might think that's already the case. The Office. I think it's so good.
Yeah, we get a lot of Office. We get a lot of Seinfeld. Those.
I think you're one or the other. Friends, it's another. But The Office for sure. Steve Carell's a genius.
Got it. Yeah. I don't know if you've touched on this yet. What was your first job?
My first job in Montezuma, I actually worked behind the meat counter in our grocery store.
Okay.
We still have one there in Montezuma, but I would stock the meat case before school, and then I would restock or run the register after school. So it was.
How big's Montezuma?
It's like 1,200 folks.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so still pretty good size.
Yeah, it's good size. Yeah, our Holderman Mennonite population, they have city school or country schools. So our public school is much smaller than the population may
makes sense.
indicate.
Okay. What is the most unusual pet you've had?
I had a hedgehog.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is an unusual pet.
Wildly cute, but kind of an attitude.
How'd you end up with a hedgehog?
It's a great question. I'm not sure. My mother was my third grade teacher. And so I think it was a class project gone wrong that we inherited. So
I gotcha. Makes sense. All right. What skill would you most like to learn?
I'd like to speak another language.
Me too. And I'm just like, well, you should do that. But it feels like
Rosetta Stone, I've tried 4 times.
Oh, is that right?
But
that's supposed to be automatic.
I know. That's what they say.
Not automatic.
That's what they say. Now, Duolingo, I should do that.
Was that the person that said, maybe you should listen to this podcast. You're not as smart as you think you are.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, that's probably what I'd do too. Where's the coolest place you've traveled?
Greece. So my wife and I went to Greece in 2021, and Santorini, Mykonos, and Athens. So
okay.
It was awesome.
Awesome. What is the one thing that instantly makes your day better?
A workout. Yeah. I'm not extraordinarily fit. I wouldn't claim that, but the endorphins and the sort of moment to yourself is pretty special. So a workout, automatically better. Aside
from necessities or workout, what one thing could you not go a day without?
It's my hair product. I know, again, this isn't a visual medium, but it's the hair product for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Honesty's great.
Yeah.
Do you prefer working remotely or in the office?
In the office. It'd be weird to love to show the office and not believe that.
I don't, we have this question on here and I'm like, I don't know. That's too easy because most people that are sort of in this area, especially that have won this kind of an award, they're like, why would I want to work at home?
I flows much better. I can compartmentalize that much better. Yep.
I agree. What advice would you give the 19-year-old you?
Dream bigger. You're capable.
That's great advice. Well, Eric, that wasn't too painful.
No, that was pretty good.
All right.
It's pretty good.
Well, thank you for being on our show today. Congratulations again on being selected as one of our 20 under 40.
Yeah.
Look forward to working with you in the future and appreciate everything you guys do at the foundation.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Think MHK, a podcast produced by the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. If you enjoyed the Think MHK podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe and share it out on your social media channels. Feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce.